You have 70,000 thoughts today, and 99% of them are working against you.
Your brain generates between 10 and 23 watts of power, enough energy to power a light bulb.
And you're walking around with a quantum processor between your ears. Most of us are using maybe 1% of that capacity deliberately. Burnout isn't exhaustion from doing too much. It's a neurological traffic jam. The brain's processing capacity is being consumed by an unresolved threat. The limitation isn't how much your brain can hold, it's how much you can reach. You have 70,000 thoughts today, and 99% of them are working against you. You've read the books, you've built the systems, you've optimized your morning routine down to the minute, and you're still exhausted. You're foggy, you're lying awake at 2 a.m. with your brain running laps around the problems you've already solved 100 times. Here's what nobody's telling you. That's not a willpower problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's a bandwidth problem. I'm going to prove that to you using two real people. One woman who located a murder victim using nothing but mental vision and with zero training and zero intention. And one man who can tell you what he had for lunch on a random Tuesday in 1981. And neither of them are supernatural. Neither of them won some genetic lottery. They're just running different settings than you are. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's creating your bottleneck and how to start opening it. I'm Dr. Amirah Hall, and I've spent over 4 decades studying the neuroscience of transformation. And the clients I work with aren't people who've given up. They're high performers, executives, founders, people who've done everything right and still feel like they're operating through glass. This video isn't about working harder. It isn't about meditating more. It's about understanding what your brain is actually capable of when you're not stuck in a bottleneck. So let's reframe burnout completely because the word itself is misleading. Burnout isn't exhaustion from doing too much. It's a neurological traffic jam. Your brain's processing capacity is being consumed by unresolved threat signals, and nothing else gets through. And here's what's actually happening inside your skull. You have small almond-shaped region called the amygdala, and its entire job is to scan for danger. It was designed for predators, for genuine life or death emergencies. But your amygdala doesn't know the difference between a lion and a difficult email from your boss. It responds to both the same way, flooding your system with cortisol, narrowing the focus, pulling every available resource towards survival. When that switch gets stuck in that on position, which it does for most high achievers after years of high pressure, it's eating your bandwidth round the clock. Now watch what that means in practice, because this is where things get fascinating. In the Weird or What episode on extraordinary human abilities, we meet Etta Smith, a woman with no psychic training and no particular spiritual practice. And she hears news report about a missing nurse, and suddenly she gets a precise mental image of a canyon that she's never visited, a specific location. But she goes to the police. They don't listen. So she drives there herself and finds the body.
It was like I was seeing a movie. I began to see this area. I saw a trail, I saw a dirt path. I saw something white through the bushes, and I knew where it was.
For the first time in her life, Etta's had a psychic vision.
Her brain wasn't doing anything magical. It was doing exactly what the brain does every single day. The difference, her channel was open. I had a client, brilliant executive, kept telling me her gut instinct had stopped working. And what had actually stopped was her ability to hear them. The noise of survival mode was just too loud. Your intuition isn't broken. It's buried under the signal your amygdala won't stop broadcasting. So if Etta shows us what happens when the channel cracks open briefly, Bob Petrella shows us exactly what happens when it stays open permanently. Bob is in the same Weird or What episode, and his case stopped researchers cold. He remembers every single day of his life, not just the big moments, not just the weddings and the funerals. He remembers what he had for lunch on a random Tuesday in 1981, what game was on TV that night, who called him, and what they talked about. You give him a date, any date, and he's there in seconds, walking through it like he never left it.
May 18th, 1980.
Oh, that's Mount St. Helens.
Nerve gas attack in Tokyo subway.
March 20th, 95.
Correct.
Yeah.
Princess Diana's wedding.
July 29th, 81. It was a Wednesday.
Now, here's where the science gets interesting because the researchers in the episode couldn't agree on what was happening. Cognitive scientist Gary Marcus argued it was obsessive rehearsal. Bob was just replaying these memories so many times they became permanent. That's the safe explanation. The one that keeps everything tidy, but Dr. James McGaugh, one of the world's leading memory researchers, went somewhere else entirely. His position was that one possibility is that we all store all this information about all of our experiences in our brain someplace.
We all have this capacity, and they are able to tap this capacity in ways that we can't.
Let me say that again. We all have that capacity, all of it already stored. The limitation isn't how much your brain can hold, it's how much you can reach. And some researchers believe Bob may also have what's called time-space synthesia, meaning he doesn't just remember time, he sees it. He experiences the calendar as if it's a physical landscape he can move through, like a 3D filing system that he can walk through and navigate.
And I say, okay, and I see the year, and I see the month, and then I cues in.
Now, I'm not telling you that you're about to develop total recall. That's not the point. The point is, what this reveals about the architecture of your brain is that it's always running. It's not a hard drive with limited storage that fills up and crashes. It's a field-based processor. The capacity was never the problem. Access is the problem. And here's what I constantly see in my own practice. Most high performers aren't hitting a skill ceiling. They're hitting a nervous system ceiling. Their processing power is being throttled by a system that never got a memo, that the emergency is over. They keep grinding because at some biological level, stopping still feels dangerous. When I work with someone who's been in the high performance mode for a decade, the first thing we do isn't add a new strategy. We clear the threat signal that's been running in the background since 2009 or 1997, or whenever the nervous system first learned that rest wasn't safe. And that's when things start moving. Not because you found a better productivity hack, but because they finally freed up the bandwidth that was already there. So what actually opens the channel? Here's the framework. There's 3 steps, all grounded in biology, not motivation, because motivation without a regulated nervous system is just willpower in a leaky boat. Step 1 is what I call the signal safety. Your nervous system will not release bandwidth until it genuinely believes the threat is over. Not when you tell it the threat is over, when you feel it. There's a difference. And most high achievers learn that distinction the hard way. This means somatic regulation has to come before strategy. Daily practice that sends a bottom-up signal to your amygdala. Slow breathing, movement, stillness, something that speaks the body's language and says, we survived, we're okay, the lion is gone. Without that signal, every productivity system you build is just rearranging furniture on a ship that's already taking on water. Step 2 is what I call detonate the pattern. Every nervous system running in survival mode has at least one unfinished file, a loop it can't close. It usually shows up as a reoccurring frustration that you can't explain, a relationship dynamic that keeps playing out the same way no matter how many times you swear it won't. The loop is costing you processing power every single day, whether you're thinking about it or not. Finding it, naming it, and doing the work to close it. That's how you get your bandwidth back. Not a little of it, a significant chunk of it. Step 3 is expand the frequency. Once the threat signal quiets and the loop closes, something opens up that most people haven't felt in years. This is the same intuitive processing Etta was running when she saw the canyon. The same deep retrieval system Bob accesses every single time someone hands him a date. It was always there. You just couldn't hear it over the noise. And this is what I mean when I say your brain is a quantum processor. It's not a metaphor, it's a mechanism. The question is never whether you have the capacity. The question is, what's been blocking the signal? And if you want to find out exactly where your specific bottleneck is, I have a free 15-minute clarity call. The link is in the description. It's a real conversation, just getting clear on why you're running on low capacity. You were never running low on capacity. You were running high on interference. And this week, notice one moment where your gut gives you the information your logic immediately overrides. And don't fix it. Just notice it. That's the signal starting to come through. And drop in the comments the one area where you feel most bottlenecked right now. Subscribe for the next video in this series on identity and recalibration. And if this hit different, send it to the high performer in your life who needs to hear it.